Get out of my face, you broke-ass janitor! I'm not looking for trouble, son. Son, you don't talk to me like that, ghetto trash! Tyler Richardson explodes with rage, stepping from his BMW. White, wealthy, entitled. His crew watches from expensive cars, smirking at the confrontation. Darius Thompson stands calm in his stained maintenance uniform, black, working class, alone, just trying to get home after another night shift cleaning offices. This is my neighborhood now, old man. What are those ugly, scarred hands gonna do? Mop me to death. But Darius's weathered hands tell a different story. Knuckles bearing secrets Tyler can't read. 15 years of buried memories flickering behind calm eyes. The maintenance worker who cleans buildings by night once destroyed men in boxing rings. Have you ever watched privilege collide with hidden power? Detroit's industrial district sleeps fitfully at night. Abandoned warehouses cast long shadows between functioning buildings where men like Darius Thompson clean offices for people who'll never know their names. The streetlights flicker inconsistently, creating pockets of darkness perfect for predators who mistake vulnerability for weakness. Darius Thompson moves through this landscape like a ghost with purpose. At 45, he carries himself with the subtle balance of someone who once made a living with his hands. 6'3" and still built like the fighter he used to be, though 20 pounds heavier than his fighting weight. His work uniform, navy blue with Metro Cleaning Services embroidered on the chest, tells one story. His hands tell another. Those hands bear the truth Tyler Richardson missed in the dim streetlight. Knuckles scarred from thousands of hours hitting heavy bags and harder jaws, a slight flattening of the nose from taking shots he couldn't slip. Small scar above his left eyebrow, memento from a particularly vicious uppercut in Cleveland, 1997. Even with the limp from his career-ending knee injury, Darius moves with a fighter's awareness, head up, shoulders relaxed, ready for trouble that usually doesn't come. For 15 years, he fought under the name Iron D. Thompson. Not because he was flashy. Darius never showboated or danced around the ring. He earned the nickname through devastating body shots and methodical destruction of opponents who underestimated his power. 34 wins, 7 losses, most victories coming by knockout in the later rounds when his opponent's will finally broke under relentless pressure. The boxing world forgot Iron D. Thompson the night his knee exploded in that final fight against Jimmy Lightning Rodriguez in Grand Rapids. Career over at 32. Forced to reinvent himself in a world that values youth over experience. Now he works 3 jobs: night maintenance at downtown office buildings, weekend security at a shopping mall, and Saturday mornings mentoring kids at the East Side Community Center. His apartment reflects his new reality. Modest 1-bedroom on the 3rd floor, furniture from thrift stores and garage sales, no boxing memorabilia on the walls. He buried that life along with his dreams of championship belts. The only evidence of his fighting past hides in his wallet. A small, faded photograph of a younger Darius raising gloves in victory after stopping Crusher Williams in Detroit's old Olympia Stadium. But muscle memory doesn't fade. Late at night, while thinking through problems or planning his next day, Darius shadow boxes unconsciously. His left jab still snaps with precision. His footwork remains fluid despite the damaged knee. The combinations flow like water. Jab, cross, hook to the body, step out of range. He catches himself sometimes, remembering he's not that man anymore. The kids at the community center know him as Mr. Darius, the quiet mentor who helps with homework and teaches conflict resolution. They don't know their soft-spoken counselor once knocked out professional fighters across 3 states. When they ask about his scars, he tells them old construction accidents. Not entirely untrue, considering boxing is construction work performed on human bodies. Mrs. Rodriguez, his elderly neighbor, sees something different in Darius. The way he moves through the hallway with purpose. How his presence makes her feel safer in a building where safety isn't guaranteed. She doesn't know about his fighting background, but she recognizes strength when she sees it. Tommy the Tank Morrison runs a struggling gym 6 blocks from Darius's apartment. Former heavyweight contender who trained Darius during his peak years, Tommy understands the weight of carrying lethal skills in gentle hands. He's the only person who knows the full truth about what Darius sacrifices every day, the restraint required to live peacefully among people who would never survive 1 round of his former life. Every morning, Darius sends money to his mother in Flint. Every evening, he helps Mrs. Rodriguez carry groceries upstairs. Every weekend he shows children that strength comes in many forms. He's built a quiet life of service, hoping his past stays buried. But Tyler Richardson is about to dig it up. Tyler sees only what serves his narrative. An older black man in work clothes, moving slowly, apparently defenseless. He missed the scarred knuckles, the fighter's balance, the controlled breathing of someone who's faced real violence and learned to master it. Sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the one trying hardest not to be dangerous at all. Tuesday night, 11:47 p.m. Darius exits Patel's convenience store with milk and bread for Mrs. Rodriguez, who's been too frightened to shop alone since the neighborhood started changing. The industrial district feels different lately. More predators hunting in the shadows between shift changes. Tyler's black Honda Civic idles near the loading dock across the street. They've been watching this route for 3 nights, timing the patterns of workers heading home. Jake fidgets with his phone while Devin counts loose bills from their earlier score. Tyler studies Darius through the passenger window. Perfect target, he thinks. Older, alone, walking slowly with that limp. "That's him," Tyler whispers to his crew. "Same guy, same time. Told you these people are creatures of habit." They approach from behind, footsteps echoing off empty buildings. Tyler takes point, confidence growing with each step. This old man represents everything he's been taught to look down on: manual labor, quiet acceptance, the kind of person who takes whatever life gives him. "Yo, Grandpa!" Tyler calls out, voice cutting through the night. "Hold up there!" Darius doesn't run, doesn't even quicken his pace. He stops, sets the groceries carefully on the sidewalk, and turns to face them. Tyler reads this as submission, proof that some people are born to be victims. "You know what this is," Tyler says, closing distance. "Wallet, phone, whatever's in your pockets. Don't make this complicated." For a split second, something flickers in Darius's stance. His left foot shifts slightly forward, weight distributing between both legs. His hands, hanging loose at his sides, position themselves with unconscious precision. Tyler catches a glimpse of scarred knuckles in the streetlight but dismisses them, probably from warehouse work. "Son, you're making a mistake," Darius says quietly. Tyler laughs, turning to his crew. "You hear this?" He thinks we're making a mistake. Back to Darius. "The only mistake here is you walking around my neighborhood with my money." Instead of fighting, Darius slowly reaches for his wallet. His movements are deliberate, controlled, the economy of motion belonging to someone who's calculated violence before. He counts out $43, money earmarked for his mother's blood pressure medication. "Is this all you got?" Tyler snatches the bills, disappointed. What kind of man walks around with pocket change? As they speed away, laughing and counting their score, Darius memorizes the license plate. Michigan JKL 4429. Mrs. Rodriguez watches from her third-floor window, cell phone recording, too frightened to call police, but documenting everything. Tommy Morrison drives past as Darius collects scattered groceries. He recognizes that expression, the same controlled fury Darius carried before his most devastating knockouts. "You okay?" Tommy asks through his rolled-down window. "Just some kids being kids," Darius replies. But Tommy knows better. He's seen that look before, right before Iron D. Thompson ended careers. Tyler Richardson can't sleep. 3 a.m. finds him pacing his parents' Bloomfield Hills mansion, counting and recounting the $43 like rosary beads. Not because he needs the money. His trust fund contains more than most people earn in a lifetime, but because of how it felt to take it. The rush of absolute power over someone helpless. The way that old man's voice stayed calm, even while handing over his last dollars. Tyler wants that feeling again. "Easy money," he tells Jake over the phone Wednesday morning. "These blue-collar types don't fight back, too beaten down by life." But it was never about money. Tyler's addiction runs deeper, to domination, to the moment when someone realizes they're powerless against him. He's felt it since college, that first time he sucker-punched a fraternity brother during a party, the way the room went quiet, the way people looked at him with new respect or fear. Same difference. Thursday evening, Tyler's crew returns to the industrial district. They've expanded their hunting grounds, hitting 2 other workers before finding Darius again. This time, Tyler wants more than pocket change. "Well, well," Tyler announces as Darius exits the Metro building after his maintenance shift. Look who's back in our neighborhood. Darius recognizes the voice before turning around. 3 young faces, already familiar from 2 nights ago. He calculates distances, exit routes, and witness potential. Old habits from a different life. Your whole paycheck this time, Tyler demands, emboldened by their previous success. Don't pretend you don't have it. When Darius explains he needs the money for rent and his mother's medical bills, Tyler's mockery cuts deep. Maybe get a real job instead of pushing a mop around. He turns to his crew with theatrical disgust. Look at this pathetic old fool, probably never thrown a punch in his life. $340 changes hands. Darius watches Tyler count the bills with shaking hands, pupils dilated, jaw clenched. He's high on something stronger than power. The combination of drugs and dominance makes him dangerous in ways he doesn't understand. From Tyler's perspective, he's conquered more than just another victim. In his twisted worldview, shaped by privilege and prejudice, Darius represents everything society taught him to despise. An older black man in service work, accepting whatever life gives him, never fighting back. Tyler brags to friends about his business venture, spinning tales where his victims beg and plead for mercy. The story grows with each telling. By the second week, Tyler's psychological warfare intensifies. They start appearing at Darius's workplace, not to rob but to intimidate, showing him they can reach him anywhere, anytime. The message is clear. You belong to us now. Hey, Darius, Jake calls out during Wednesday's shift change, using his first name like they're old friends. How's that rent situation working out? Darius maintains professional composure, but his supervisor notices the tension. Co-workers sense something's wrong without understanding the context. The stress follows him home, disrupts his sleep, affects his concentration during community center sessions with the kids. Tyler's background explains his escalation pattern. Exclusive private schools where problems disappeared with parental donations. A college experience ending abruptly after that fraternity incident. Not because of consequences, but because his parents quietly transferred him somewhere new, somewhere his reputation couldn't follow. He's never faced real resistance, never learned that actions have permanent consequences. The breaking point arrives Friday evening when Tyler crosses Darius's ultimate line, a handwritten note slipped under Mrs. Rodriguez's apartment door. Tell your friend to have more money next time, we know where you live. Darius finds her crying in the hallway, too frightened to call police, convinced these boys will hurt her grandchildren. She's lived in this neighborhood for 30 years, survived urban decline and economic collapse. But these young predators represent something new, something hungrier. That night, alone in his apartment, Darius stares at his hands, flexes fingers that once delivered knockout punches to men who trained their entire lives to take them. The restraint he's shown isn't weakness, it's harder than any fight he's ever been in. Every instinct screams for him to end this, to remind these boys what real violence looks like. Memories flood back from his fighting days. Iron D. Thompson was never flashy, never danced or showboated. He was methodical destruction personified, devastating body shots that sapped opponents' will to continue. Round after round of precise punishment until their spirit broke along with their ribs. His trainer's voice echoes across 15 years. Fighting's not about anger, Darius. It's about control. When you lose control, you lose everything. Saturday morning at the community center, young Devin asks the question that haunts every peaceful man in a violent world. Mr. Darius, what if walking away doesn't work? What if they keep coming? Darius chooses his words carefully, knowing these children face similar choices daily. Sometimes you gotta stand up, but you better be sure you're standing up for the right reasons, and you better be ready for what comes after. Tyler's final escalation plan reveals his fundamental misunderstanding of power. He decides to humiliate Darius publicly in front of the children he mentors. In Tyler's diseased thinking, this will prove their hero is just another victim, destroying whatever respect or hope these kids might have left. He studies the community center layout, timing Darius's Saturday exit for maximum witnesses. The plan excites him more than previous robberies, not just taking money, but crushing spirits, destroying the faith these children have in their quiet mentor. Jake starts questioning the escalation. He signed up for easy money, not public harassment campaigns against community volunteers. But Tyler's erratic behavior, fueled by whatever he's been taking, intimidates even his own crew. They've created a monster they can't control. Tyler sets his trap without realizing he's about to provide an audience for his own destruction. He wants witnesses for Darius's final humiliation, not knowing those same witnesses will document the moment a predator learns the difference between weakness and restraint. Some lessons can only be taught with violence. Tyler Richardson is about to get an education 15 years in the making. Friday night, after finding Mrs. Rodriguez terrorized in the hallway, Darius drives to Tommy's gym. The old building smells like leather and decades of sweat. Familiar scents from when problems were solved with gloves and 3-minute rounds. Tommy the Tank Morrison looks up from the heavy bag. One glance at Darius's face tells the story. "You got that look again. Same one from the night you decided to retire." Darius explains the situation without mentioning his weeks of restraint. Tommy listens, understanding the weight his former fighter carries. He's seen this internal war before, lethal men trying to live peaceful lives. "Some fights choose you, Darius," Tommy says quietly. "The question is, are you going to fight smart or fight angry?" The plan crystallizes. Darius doesn't want to hurt these young men, but he recognizes Tyler's escalating pattern. He's dealt with bullies before. They push until someone pushes back hard enough to end it. One final warning, public, with witnesses. If Tyler backs down, everyone walks away. If he doesn't... Saturday morning, Darius arrives early at the community center. He informs the director about potential trouble, arranges for additional security, off-duty officers who volunteer weekends. 6 blocks away, Detective Sarah Martinez reviews robbery cases targeting black workers in the industrial district. She's close to identifying perpetrators but needs one more incident. Mrs. Rodriguez sleeps peacefully, trusting Darius's quiet confidence that her nightmare ends soon. The calm before the storm always feels like hope. Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m. The East Side Community Center buzzes with weekend energy. Kids aged 8 to 16 work on homework at folding tables, shoot baskets on the indoor court, and learn life skills from volunteers who believe in second chances. The air smells like disinfectant and hope. Familiar territory for Darius Thompson. He arrives early, moving with new purpose despite his slight limp. Something has shifted in his demeanor. The resignation is gone, replaced by quiet determination. Off-duty Officer Johnson nods from his position near the main entrance, part of the security Darius quietly arranged. At exactly 11 a.m., Tyler's black Honda Civic pulls into the parking lot. Perfect timing. Maximum witnesses streaming in and out for weekend programs, parents dropping off kids, volunteers arriving for their shifts, teenagers gathering for basketball league games. "Showtime," Tyler whispers to his crew, pupils dilated from whatever he took to amp himself up for this moment. This isn't about $43 anymore. This is about proving a point, crushing hope, demonstrating that their hero is just another victim. They approach as Darius exits through the main entrance, timing choreographed for maximum humiliation. Several kids recognize their mentor and move closer, confused by the confrontation developing before their eyes. "Well, well, well," Tyler announces, voice carrying across the parking lot. "If it isn't our favorite working man, time for your weekly donation, Grandpa." The words hit like physical blows. Parents stop mid-conversation, children pause their games. A semicircle forms around the confrontation, cell phones emerging from pockets. Tyler feeds off the attention, his theatrical cruelty finding its perfect stage. "Look at this pathetic old fool," Tyler continues, pulling out the previous week's robbery money and waving it mockingly. "What did you make me take last week? $43? What kind of grown man only carries pocket change?" He turns to the growing crowd, performing now for maximum impact. "Y'all know this guy can't even protect himself? What's he supposed to be teaching your kids? How to be a victim?" The children Darius mentors watch in confusion and growing horror. Their quiet hero, the man who helps with homework and teaches conflict resolution, stands motionless as this young predator publicly destroys his dignity. Some parents pull their kids closer, others record on their phones. "Matter of fact," Tyler continues, drunk on power and audience attention, "maybe I should be running programs here, teaching these kids what real strength looks like, not this weak old fool who hands over his money like a good little..." "That's enough." Darius's voice cuts through Tyler's performance, calm but carrying new authority. He steps forward, hands still at his sides, but something fundamental has changed in his posture. Son, I've given you chances. You threatened my neighbor. Now you're here where children can see. This ends now. Walk away. Tyler sees only what he wants to see. The same passive victim who's funded his power trips for 2 weeks. The calm demeanor registers as ultimate weakness, final proof that some people are born to be dominated. Or what, old man? Tyler pushes closer, emboldened by the audience. You gonna fight me? You're gonna show all these kids how tough their hero really is? The crowd holds its breath. Mrs. Rodriguez's teenage grandson, Roberto, films everything from 15 feet away, catching Tyler's mocking laughter, Darius's repeated warnings, the precise moment when Tyler makes his fatal mistake. Tyler shoves Darius hard in the chest, expecting the same passive response he's received for 2 weeks. Come on, Grandpa, show us what you got. In 0.3 seconds, 15 years of suppressed muscle memory explodes into action. Tyler's shove triggers something primal in Darius Thompson, not anger, but professional calculation honed by thousands of hours in boxing gyms across 3 states. His stance shifts almost imperceptibly. The left foot slides forward 6 inches. Weight distributes perfectly between both legs. Shoulders drop and square. His left hand rises to chin level while his right cocks at his waist. For the first time since his career ended, Iron D. Thompson stands ready for war. Tyler doesn't recognize the transformation. He sees the same old man, maybe getting a little aggressive. Nothing he can't handle. He throws a wild right hand, telegraphing the punch from downtown Detroit. Darius slips the punch with minimal movement, economy of motion belonging to someone who's faced real violence. Tyler's momentum carries him forward, off balance, directly into the path of devastation. The liver shot is surgical. No wind-up, no telegraphing, just 15 years of professional experience delivered through 4 knuckles into Tyler's unprotected torso. The punch travels exactly 6 inches, generating power through perfect hip rotation and weight transfer that Tyler's untrained eye never sees coming. The impact creates a sickening thud audible 20 feet away, leather meeting meat with scientific precision. Tyler's exhale is sharp, desperate, the sound of someone whose diaphragm just forgot how to function. His knees buckle immediately. Hands clutch his side as he crumples to the asphalt, writhing in agony, unable to speak or breathe properly. The crowd falls silent except for Roberto's awed whisper, captured clearly on his phone. Holy shit, did y'all see that? Darius doesn't follow up. One punch, perfectly placed, ends 2 weeks of terror. He stands over Tyler's writhing form, breathing normally, hands relaxed at his sides. No anger, no satisfaction, just the calm of someone who's done what needed doing. Jake and Devin freeze, finally understanding they've been threatening the wrong person for 2 weeks. They move to help Tyler, but stop when Darius's eyes find them. Not threatening, but absolutely clear about consequences if they choose poorly. "Help your friend," Darius says, voice unchanged from his normal mentoring tone. "Get him to a hospital, and don't come back to this neighborhood." Roberto's phone captured everything in perfect 1080p clarity. Tyler's arrogant approach, his public humiliation of a community hero, the mocking laughter as he counted stolen money, Darius's repeated warnings to walk away, the shove that crossed the final line, the instant justice of that surgical body shot. Tyler's collapse and Darius's restraint. Within 1 hour, the video hit social media with the title, "Bully Gets Instant Karma from Old Man He's Been Robbing." The explosion is immediate. Asterisk 50,000 views in 2 hours. Asterisk 500,000 by evening. Asterisk 2 million within 24 hours. Asterisk hash instant karma trending nationwide. Comments pour in from around the world. That's how you handle bullies. Perfect self-defense technique. Dude got exactly what he deserved. Clean technique, 0 follow-up, pure class. This is what real strength looks like. Internet sleuths begin investigating immediately. Someone recognizes Darius's fighting stance, the precision of that body shot. Within hours, they uncover Iron D. Thompson, semi-professional boxer, 34. 7 record, known for devastating bodywork and methodical destruction of opponents. The narrative writes itself. Gentle giant reveals hidden talent to protect children from predators. Tyler spends 6 hours in the emergency room. Severe bruising, temporary breathing difficulties, but no permanent damage. Doctors recommend avoiding physical confrontations in the future. His parents arrive demanding answers, threatening lawsuits, unable to comprehend that their son isn't the victim this time. Local news picks up the story by evening. Community center volunteer defends children from gang harassment. Detective Martinez recognizes Tyler from previous incident reports. The viral video provides evidence she's been building toward for weeks. Finally, she can connect the dots. But Tyler's family has resources, connections, and a completely different version of events they're preparing to unleash on the world. Monday morning, 8 a.m. Richardson family lawyer Marcus Goldstein files a civil lawsuit that transforms Darius Thompson from viral hero to public menace in less than 48 hours. The complaint reads like fiction. Unprovoked assault by former professional boxer against troubled youth seeking community assistance. The Richardson family machine activates with surgical precision. Private investigators dig into Darius's past. Public relations specialists craft a narrative that flips victim and perpetrator. Expert witnesses prepare testimony about boxers' hands as deadly weapons. Money talks, and it's telling a completely different story than Roberto's viral video. Tyler appears on Channel 7 News Tuesday evening, neck brace gleaming under studio lights, walking with a cane neither his doctors nor his injuries require. His performance is Academy Award caliber. Vulnerable young man destroyed by violence he never saw coming. "I was just trying to talk to him," Tyler says, voice breaking at perfect moments. "Ask for directions to help some friends find their way around. Next thing I know, I'm waking up in the hospital with doctors telling me I'm lucky to be alive." His mother, Patricia Richardson, dabs tears with expensive tissue. "This man is a trained killer who deliberately concealed his background to prey on unsuspecting victims. My son could have died." The family's hired publicist, Jennifer Walsh, frames the story with devastating effectiveness. Former professional boxer attacks innocent youth asking for directions. The narrative shift is immediate and brutal. By Wednesday, the comment sections flip completely. Why didn't he mention his boxing background? That punch looked like attempted murder. Poor kid just wanted help. Typical athlete thinking rules don't apply. This is what's wrong with our community. #Justice for Tyler begins trending. The same video that made Darius a hero now appears sinister when viewed through the lens of hidden deadly weapon versus innocent victim. The Eastside Community Center Board convenes an emergency meeting Wednesday night. Liability concerns outweigh loyalty. Darius is suspended pending investigation, banned from the premises where he's volunteered for 3 years. The kids he mentors watch through chain-link fencing as their hero becomes a pariah. Detective Martinez knows the truth but can't publicly comment on her ongoing investigation. She watches helplessly as the media narrative shifts against the one honest person in this entire mess. The evidence she's been building, ATM footage, robbery patterns, victim testimonies, sits in files while Tyler plays victim on television. Darius sits alone in his apartment Thursday night. Legal papers scattered across his kitchen table. Public defender Sarah Kim has been assigned to his case. Overworked, underfunded, fighting the Richardson family's legal machine with half the resources and none of the media connections. "They're using your skill against you," Sarah explains during their first meeting. "Every punch you threw in the ring, every opponent you knocked out, it's all evidence of dangerous propensity now. They're painting you as a predator who lured Tyler into a trap. The isolation deepens daily. Neighbors who once smiled now cross the street. His supervisor at Metro Cleaning suggests he take extended leave while the situation resolves. The corner store owner, Mr. Patel, serves him without making eye contact. The viral hero becomes a pariah in 72 hours. Mrs. Rodriguez remains his only public supporter, but Tyler's legal team visits her Friday afternoon. 2 lawyers in expensive suits, speaking carefully about immigration status, suggesting her testimony might complicate her family's situation. The message is clear without being explicitly threatening. She stops answering Darius's calls. The Richardson lawyers produce expert witnesses like rabbits from a hat. Dr. Harrison Webb, sports medicine specialist, testifies that a trained boxer's punch can generate forces equivalent to being hit by a baseball bat. Dr. Michelle Santos, psychologist, explains how professional fighters develop aggressive response patterns that make them dangerous in civilian situations. Social media becomes a battlefield. #Justice for Tyler trends alongside #BoxerBully and #Hidden Weapons. Death threats arrive through direct messages. Someone spray paints "killer" on Darius's apartment building. The same hands that once comforted frightened children now represent nothing but violence in the public mind. Tyler's crew faces their own pressure. Jake and Devin, facing potential conspiracy charges if they maintain silence, receive immunity offers in exchange for testimony supporting Tyler's version. The Richardson family's legal protection extends to them if they play along. If they tell the truth, they face prosecution for the robbery pattern Detective Martinez has documented. Under oath, Friday morning, Jake delivers devastating testimony. Tyler was just asking for directions. This guy seemed angry from the start, like he was looking for trouble. Tyler never threatened anybody. He was trying to help us find our way when this dude just exploded on him. The false testimony lands like a sledgehammer. Combined with expert witnesses and Tyler's theatrical victim performance, it creates reasonable doubt about what really happened in that parking lot. Darius's darkest hour arrives Friday night. Alone in his apartment, he questions everything. Maybe restraint was wrong. Maybe he should have kept walking away from Tyler's provocations. Maybe protecting others isn't worth destroying his own life. The $43 Tyler stole seems insignificant compared to what this fight has cost. Tommy Morrison remains his only loyal visitor, bringing updates from the boxing community. Fighters worldwide support Darius, understanding the impossible position of carrying lethal skills in civilian life. But their support doesn't matter in courtrooms or comment sections. "You did right, D," Tommy insists during one of their conversations. The problem is, the right doesn't always win in court. Sometimes money and lawyers beat the truth. District Attorney Patricia Wells, facing re-election in 6 months, feels pressure to prosecute. Simple self-defense becomes assault with deadly weapons due to Darius's professional fighting background. The case offers political opportunity, a tough prosecutor taking on a privileged athlete who thinks rules don't apply. Sarah Kim explains the brutal reality during their weekend meeting. They want you to plead guilty to assault in exchange for probation and anger management classes. Given the current climate, it might be your best option. The plea bargain sits on Darius's kitchen table like a death sentence, admitting guilt for protecting children, accepting the narrative that he's the villain, validating every stereotype about black men and violence. Sunday afternoon, Darius visits the community center one final time. The kids he can no longer mentor wave through the fence, unable to understand why their hero is banned from helping them. Their confusion breaks his heart more than any legal threat. "Mr. Darius," young Devin calls through the chain link. "When are you coming back? These new guys don't know boxing like you do." Devin doesn't know about Darius's fighting background, but he recognized technique in that parking lot punch. His innocent observation plants a seed. How many other people saw the truth that media manipulation obscured? The storm is about to break. Detective Martinez's investigation reaches critical mass. Tommy finds forgotten evidence that changes everything. And Tyler Richardson's carefully constructed victim narrative is about to crumble under the weight of documented truth. Sometimes justice takes longer than instant karma, but it's more permanent when it finally arrives. Monday morning, 6 a.m. Detective Sarah Martinez stares at her computer screen, coffee growing cold as pieces of a 3-month puzzle finally click into place. The breakthrough came from ATM security footage from Patel's convenience store 3 weeks before the community center incident. There, in grainy black and white clarity, Tyler Richardson's crew robs another victim. Same license plate Darius memorized, same pattern targeting black workers in the industrial district, same systematic harassment documented across 7 different incidents over 2 months. Martinez connects the dots with methodical precision. The robbery pattern shows clear escalation and premeditation. Tyler's crew graduated from single incidents to sustained psychological warfare, with Darius as their primary target. The community center confrontation wasn't random violence. It was the culmination of weeks of systematic predation. Sarah Kim's legal strategy shifts from self-defense to victim vindication. With Martinez's evidence, they request an emergency hearing to present new material that completely reframes the narrative. Judge Patricia Williams agrees to Tuesday morning's session, though Tyler's family remains confident their media blitz controls public opinion. Detective Martinez takes the stand with methodical precision of someone who builds cases on facts rather than fiction. She presents ATM footage, convenience store cameras, victim testimonies from 7 different robberies. Suddenly, Tyler appears as a systematic predator, Darius as a target who finally fights back after weeks of harassment. The courtroom atmosphere shifts palpably as evidence mounts. Cell phone records showing Tyler's crew casing Darius's route for 2 weeks. Mrs. Rodriguez's original video testimony, recorded before lawyers intimidated her into silence. Financial records proving Tyler's trust fund eliminates any monetary motivation. This was about power, not money. Tyler's theatrical victim performance crumbles under cross-examination. Faced with video evidence of his own words, "Look at this pathetic old fool. What kind of man can't protect his own groceries?" His story falls apart piece by piece. Prosecutor Wells realizes her political calculation backfired spectacularly. Pursuing charges against Darius now looks like prosecutorial misconduct, given overwhelming evidence of Tyler's criminal pattern. She quietly drops charges Tuesday afternoon. Tommy Morrison arrives at the courthouse with forgotten evidence that delivers the final blow. Security footage from his gym shows Tyler's crew casing Darius's route for weeks before the final confrontation. They studied his schedule, planned their harassment campaign, and escalated systematically from random robbery to psychological warfare. Public opinion reverses with volcanic force. #Justice for Darius trends worldwide as the second viral moment explodes across social media. Original supporters feel vindicated, while Tyler's supporters realize they've been manipulated by expensive public relations machinery. Tyler suffers genuine psychological breakdown as his carefully constructed victim identity crumbles. Facing multiple felony charges and civil liability, he can no longer maintain the fiction sustaining his worldview. In the courtroom's most dramatic moment, Tyler's confession comes from psychological collapse rather than legal pressure. Standing before Judge Williams, neck brace removed, cane abandoned, he admits everything. "I thought he was just some old man who couldn't fight back," Tyler says, voice shaking with genuine remorse. "I was wrong about everything. The robberies, the harassment, lying about what happened. He tried to warn me. I wouldn't listen." The transformation from predator to penitent is complete, witnessed by the same community he terrorized. "I targeted him because of who I thought he was, an older black man in work clothes who wouldn't fight back. I was raised thinking some people exist to be victims." Darius shows no satisfaction, only sadness for wasted potential. When asked for a response, his words carry the weight of someone who understands both violence and forgiveness. "I hope you get help, real help. Not lawyers or publicity, but someone who can help you understand why you thought this was acceptable." News outlets scramble to correct their narrative, issuing retractions and apologies. Think pieces emerge about racial bias in initial coverage, the tendency to doubt black victims, the power of expensive public relations to distort truth. Community response is immediate and overwhelming. The Eastside Community Center Board unanimously reinstates Darius with formal apology. Kids organize welcome back parties, parents write letters of support, volunteers fundraise for his legal expenses. Tyler's crew members, facing lighter charges due to cooperation agreements, publicly apologized during their sentencing hearing. Jake's statement captures the lesson many needed. "We thought Darius was weak because he didn't fight back at first. Turns out he was stronger than all of us combined." Judge Williams delivers more than a legal verdict. She provides moral clarity the case desperately needs. Mr. Thompson showed restraint that should be commended, not prosecuted. He endured weeks of harassment before defending himself with minimal necessary force. This court finds his actions completely justified. Her words address broader issues. "We've witnessed how wealth and privilege can manipulate truth, how racial bias affects perception of victims and perpetrators. Mr. Thompson's dignity throughout this ordeal serves as an example of grace under pressure." Outside the courthouse, Darius faces reporters with the same calm demeanor he maintained throughout his ordeal. "Violence should always be the last option, but when it's necessary to protect others, you use exactly the force required to stop the threat. No more, no less." The psychological battle is won through patient accumulation of truth. Detective Martinez's methodical investigation, Tommy's forgotten security footage, and ultimately Tyler's own conscience combined to deliver justice that seemed impossible days earlier. Sometimes the most powerful victories come not from devastating knockout punches, but from the discipline to let truth speak louder than expensive lies. 6 months later, the Eastside Community Center buzzes with energy that wasn't there before Darius Thompson's story went viral. The new Real Strength training program fills 3 sessions every weekend, teaching kids something schools never could: when to fight and when to walk away. Darius stands before 20 teenagers on Saturday morning, no longer hiding his boxing background. The faded photograph from his wallet now hangs framed on the gymnasium wall. Iron D. Thompson in his prime, gloves raised in victory. But the real victory stands before him in the form of young people learning that strength has many definitions. Real power isn't about how hard you can hit, Darius explains to the group. It's about knowing when to hit and when to hold back. Anyone can throw a punch. It takes real strength to protect others without destroying yourself in the process. Tyler Richardson serves 18 months in a minimum security facility plus 500 hours community service. His parents finally secured proper mental health treatment for underlying issues that money alone couldn't fix. The privileged young man who never faced consequences now works in the prison library, reading to elderly inmates who remind him of the man he terrorized for 2 weeks. The program expansion exceeds every expectation. Community centers in 47 states adopt Darius's curriculum, combining physical self-defense with conflict de-escalation techniques. The Real Strength method became a model for youth programs nationwide, proving that viral moments can create lasting change when channeled properly. Mayor Coleman presents Darius with the key to the city during a ceremony attended by 500 people. The community center renames its gymnasium Darius Thompson Hall, with Mrs. Rodriguez cutting the ribbon. She no longer fears walking to the corner store after dark, knowing her neighborhood has guardian angels like the gentle giant who carries her groceries. Young Devin, the student, not Tyler's former crew member, wins the city boxing tournament using techniques Darius taught him. He dedicates his victory to the mentor who showed him that strength comes in many forms. Mr. Darius taught me that the hardest fight is the one you choose not to have, Devin says during his acceptance speech. Tyler writes letters from prison, first to Darius, then to Mrs. Rodriguez, finally to the other victims his crew terrorized across 2 months of systematic predation. The apologies can't undo damage, but they represent genuine change from someone who finally understands the weight of his actions. Darius visits Tyler once, bringing the kind of quiet wisdom that prison counselors lack. "You had everything," Darius tells him through reinforced glass. "Money, education, opportunities. But you didn't have what matters most. Understanding that other people's pain is real, not entertainment." The ripple effect extends beyond individual transformation. Other robbery victims find courage to report crimes they previously suffered in silence. Detective Martinez credits Darius's courage with solving 12 additional cases, breaking criminal patterns that existed because victims felt powerless to fight back. Tommy's gym experiences renaissance as where Iron D. Thompson trained becomes a selling point for legitimate self-defense classes. Former fighters volunteer as instructors, teaching techniques that emphasize control over aggression. The struggling business becomes a community cornerstone, proving that second chances work both ways. Police partnerships emerge from unexpected places. The department collaborates with Darius's program to train officers in de-escalation techniques, learning from someone who managed violence while maintaining humanity. His experience becomes a teaching tool for professionals who carry badges and guns. National recognition follows naturally. Morning show appearances, speaking engagements, documentary crews filming his daily routine. Through it all, Darius maintains the humble demeanor that made him hero in the first place. Fame doesn't change the man who still helps Mrs. Rodriguez with her groceries every Tuesday. The documentary When to Fight wins Regional Emmy for social impact, following Darius for 6 months as his story transforms from viral moment to lasting movement. Hollywood calls with movie offers, but Darius prefers reality to fiction, impact over entertainment. Personal growth includes romance with Detective Sarah Martinez, who believed in him when public opinion turned hostile. They bond over shared commitment to justice and community protection, understanding that some battles are worth fighting and others are worth preventing. Community transformation becomes measurable reality. Crime in the industrial district dropped 40% over 2 years following implementation of Darius's program. The neighborhood that once felt like hunting ground for predators becomes a model for community policing and civilian cooperation. Tyler's eventual release brings unexpected development. He begins working with Darius's program as cautionary tale speaker. His transformation from predator to advocate demonstrates that even the most privileged can learn from their victims when consequences finally arrive. The final image captures everything. Darius working with a new group of at-risk youth, teaching the same kid who once asked about walking away from fights. The circle completes itself. Victim becomes protector, becomes teacher, becomes inspiration. In the renovated gymnasium that bears his name, surrounded by young people learning that strength has many forms, Darius Thompson embodies the lesson he's spent a lifetime learning. Sometimes the most powerful punch is the one you choose not to throw, but when you have to throw it, make it count. The maintenance worker who became a movement stands quietly at the center of a transformation that began with 43 stolen dollars and ended with lives rebuilt through understanding that real strength protects rather than destroys. 3 years after that fateful Saturday morning, the Darius Thompson Community Center opens its doors in a renovated warehouse on Detroit's East Side. 500 kids annually pass through comprehensive programs that blend physical training with emotional intelligence, conflict resolution with community service. The building smells like fresh paint and unlimited possibilities. The Real Strength curriculum spreads like wildfire across America. 47 states adopt Darius's methodology, reporting 70% reduction in excessive force incidents when his de-escalation techniques are properly taught. What began as one man's response to harassment became the national standard for youth development. Darius's best-selling book, When to Fight, A Guide to Protecting Others and Yourself, sits on nightstands and coffee tables from coast to coast. Proceeds fund scholarship programs for at-risk youth, ensuring that financial barriers never prevent someone from learning self-defense and self-control. The gentle giant who once hid his boxing background now teaches the world when violence serves justice and when restraint serves humanity. University researchers confirm what Darius proved in that parking lot. Combining physical capability with restraint training produces the most effective self-defense outcomes. Academic studies validate street wisdom, proving that the strongest people are often those who choose not to demonstrate their strength. International recognition arrives when the United Nations invites Darius to speak on community violence prevention. His story becomes a case study in conflict resolution programs worldwide, proof that individual courage can spark institutional change when properly channeled through authentic leadership. The program's first graduates now mentor new students, creating self-sustaining cycles of protection and empowerment. Young people who learn to walk away from unnecessary fights now teach others the same wisdom, multiplying Darius's impact exponentially across generations. Tommy Morrison's gym thrives as a training ground for the next generation of Iron D disciples, not professional fighters, but community protectors who understand that real strength serves others. The faded photos on his walls now include images of kids who learn to defend themselves and their neighbors through disciplined preparation rather than angry reaction. Mrs. Rodriguez coordinates neighborhood watch programs, no longer hiding behind locked doors, but actively organizing community safety initiatives. The elderly immigrant who once trembled at footsteps in the hallway now leads meetings where neighbors plan protective strategies and mutual support systems. Tyler Richardson completes his transformation from predator to educator, speaking at juvenile detention centers about privilege, prejudice, and the consequences of viewing other human beings as entertainment. His journey from trust fund bully to genuine advocate demonstrates that even the most damaged can be rebuilt through accountability and authentic remorse. Detective Martinez, now married to Darius, continues investigating crimes while implementing community policing strategies inspired by her husband's approach to conflict resolution. Their partnership proves that justice works best when enforcement combines with prevention, punishment balances with rehabilitation. The industrial district where everything began becomes a model neighborhood for community police cooperation. Empty lots transform into playgrounds, abandoned buildings become community centers, and the hunting grounds that once attracted predators now nurture the next generation of protectors. But Darius's greatest victory isn't measured in statistics or recognition. It's visible every Saturday morning when he works with kids who remind him why he chose restraint over retaliation, community service over personal satisfaction. Darius's story proves that real strength comes from knowing when to use your power and when to hold it back, the narrator concludes as cameras capture him teaching a new group of teenagers. But his impact didn't happen by accident. It happened because ordinary people decided to support extraordinary courage. Have you ever had to choose between walking away and standing up? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might inspire someone facing similar choices. What would you have done in Darius's situation? Let us know your thoughts and tag someone who shows real strength through restraint. If this story inspired you, share it using #RealStrength to support community protection programs everywhere. Subscribe for more stories of everyday heroes who change the world through quiet courage and disciplined action. Hit that notification bell. You never know when the next hero's story will drop, and you won't want to miss the moment when ordinary people do extraordinary things. Your story matters too. Share it, support it, live it. Sometimes the most powerful punch is the one you choose not to throw, but when you have to throw it, make it count. Subscribe now for more stories of real strength conquering false power.